Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando News Network, where we cover news, updates, and happenings from around the world of gaming and other related areas. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hello everyone, it's June 26, 2020, and this is the Commando News Network. This week we are covering news from Flesh and Blood, Argent Saga. We actually have some big news from Star Wars Legion, or at least some potentially big news from Star Wars Legion, hitting on Star Wars Destiny, and then some interesting news at a game workshop that may or may not carry impact to other tabletop miniatures games around. First, though, I just want to go right into kick this off with news from EA Squadrons. Talked about that last week. This week saw official posting of their first gameplay trailers. So that's showing right now. There's really cool stuff in there. A couple interesting things about this. One, you can see that the HUD, the heads-up display for being in the cockpit, is there, and it's actually intentional to be there, I guess, to kind of give everyone the same disadvantage of giving you the real feel in the ship. But what maybe even takes it further is the entire game is actually intended to be played, or not intended, but is capable of being played in VR, which would be super cool, right? It's like, for those of you who remember, I don't know, maybe way back in the day you played other flight sims, or you played TIE Fighter vs. X-Wing, you'd have to hit a key on your keyboard, and you could turn your head left or right and look out of your cockpit or whatever. Presumably in VR you can just do that. There's some pretty cool implications here for just a gameplay type thing. So might have to get myself a console or whatever I need there. Okay, some other news. I saw just something really cool for those who play tabletop miniature games. One of the companies out there that does a lot of Legion themed stuff, is Legion Terrain. They've retooled some of their ship stuff. One of the ones I'm showing right now to basically be interior playable. I mean, not a huge ground shaking thing there, but I thought it was really cool. So this one I just wanted to note. We also got some interesting news at a Games Workshop. So I know I may be late to the game. For those of you who are big 40K fans, this has probably been a long time coming. You already knew about it. But for those who aren't aware, Games Workshop has 40K, has 9th edition coming out soon. And what they've actually done with their 9th edition stuff is they've reduced their table size. So it used to be played on a 4x6 table. It is now moving to 44x60. Primarily the effect there is the length, right? But as you can imagine, that carries significant impacts to gameplay, right? It's your ranged units aren't going to have quite as much of as much of an advantage over units that have to charge in and get in melee combat. So why would they do this aside from just to shake things up, right? I think the implication, or at least to me, it means a lot. You're seeing a lot of, Kill Team has been doing very good for that company, right? They've released that. It's been pretty popular. Legion also likewise has done smaller table size with the skirmish mode. I think we're seeing across the industry that there's a lot of desire for games to play faster, games to play simpler, require less models. It's an easier entry approach. So I think that this has some implications to the rest of the industry on how the tabletop miniatures gaming may be shifting. Right now, again, do note there's a minimum table size. It's not saying that you can't play bigger games. Right? It's just what that brings to the industry could be a significant impact. Have some significant ripple impacts. All right, moving into Flesh and Blood news. So we had 2 items come out of them this week. Of course, both are available on their website, which you can check out for news that'll hit you a lot faster than just getting it here. But Crucible of War, they've announced the preview season to be August 12th through the 27th, with the release on the 28th, which does mean that it does indicate, or at least imply, there's not going to be a pre-release, at least for the moment. Which makes a lot of sense given the various COVID things of them not even really trying to do the logistics of making that happen. But to be fair, we could get an announcement on that later. I'm hoping that the preview season will be something similar to what we saw later, where they just deluged the content creators with various stuff to come at. You were getting 2 to 3 spoilers a day, kept everyone really engaged for a long time. So that's very exciting. So in related but certainly more exciting news, they also have an article up for Crucible of War inside the pack. So not only in this, of course, do we get a look at what the pack actually is going to look like, the booster pack, but there's some pretty spicy stuff in here, right? So the first, what we're showing right now, are they are changing the rarity icons, right? So those familiar, it used to be that you'd just have a little letter down in the bottom of the card that would denote the rarity. It was admittedly kind of hard to see. So what they're very simply doing now is they're just putting a little colored dot or icon. It looks like in one case there's a little diamond there, but it's a colored symbol that corresponds. That should make it way easier for at least the non-colorblind of us to identify the cards just at a quick glance, and I think that's a really cool thing. The part of this that has sparked a lot of conversation on the boards, because it's of course a change, is there will be no super rares in this set, right? They go in and do quite a bit of explaining on the article. I encourage you to go read it, but basically they just say the way that the set works, it just didn't quite make sense. So instead of how it used to work for the previous 2 expansions, where you would get 2 Majestics and 4 Supers per your box, for Crucible of War you're going to get 6 Majestics. They will not be doing a super rarity. Furthermore, what they are moving to is what they're calling a short print. So something may have the same type of legendary, but they're going to intentionally short print cards. And that might inherently sound like a bad thing, but I don't think it necessarily is from the way they're doing it. So remember, play sets of most cards are 3, but for the higher rarity ones, right? Because the higher rarity ones are rarely printed in 3 different versions like we're used to for the commons. But there's some of them out there that you only need 1 of, right? So what they're doing is they're going to be intentionally short printing. So even though the same rarity, there's actually a pseudo different rarity within that. But I think at least what they're trying for, and we'll have to see how it executes, but I think that they mean well here, that they're trying to make it easier to get a playset. So we'll see how that works out in the end. But it is definitely a change to rarity, which, when people are in this game, people buy a lot of product to try and get what they need. So we're gonna, I think, get the data very, very quickly of how this comes out with the law of averages. So again, go check that article out. Very impactful stuff for the next set coming forward. Really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and hop on over to Star Wars Legion. So we actually had 2 pretty big things come out of Legion this week. The first, and I think most straightforward, is, we got the CAD article as expected. When we got Padme last week, it was almost implied we were going to get CAD this week. We did get it on Wednesday of this week. But I think what took me by surprise is how cool CAD looks, right? So I am I'm a clone player. This guy is with the Separatists, but this guy looks super, super, super cool, right? So not only did we see, his full stats in his cards, not only did we see his cards, but this guy also comes with some unique tokens. And based on how he plays, again, go read it. It does a lot better job explaining than I ever can, because I don't know that I fully still understand exactly everything with how it works, and we'll have to look at his rules insert for that. But he gets to throw tokens on the board, and these tokens can do different things when they get revealed, including basically him moving to that spot on the board, right? Here I am, for example, he gets to just show up. Kablamo, which is a good term from him, or a term used from him in the series, obviously is going to cause some damage, and then there's smoke and mirrors where there's just nothing there. So he brings a lot of really, at least to me, neat looking, different type of gameplay to the board. He looks like a very exciting unit to add in. The second piece of news was definitely very speculative news, but what I'm showing right now is a still taken from one of Crabbox's videos. I'll link to it. Please go check it out. But we have some pseudo confirmed rumors out, right? We'd kind of heard in the past about Anakin and Maul maybe being out there based on some product codes. It's all but been confirmed based on some distributors having stuff on their websites that Anakin and Maul are coming to the game, right? So his particular video was talking about Maul. The product code looks like he's going to come with Seeker Droid, something like that. Maybe it's a counterpart type thing like Cassian and Iden we've seen with their guys. Who knows the full details, but it has been confirmed those are coming. Now, good news, like that's always good news to see that there's more product coming, but it's one of the big drawbacks of especially a Fantasy Flight-driven miniatures game, right, is they do such a good job of getting the info out. I mean, in this case, granted, it's not officially published, but they get the info out there so early, and they're like, okay, this thing's coming in 6 months, and then there's inevitably a delay. So when you're trying to like build your army, you're like, well, I want Anakin or something. So maybe you build your army, you're not going to go out and buy 2 more things because you know Anakin's on the way, but you might have to wait the better part of a year to get it, right? So it's always one of those kind of catch-22s with, playing the FFG miniatures game, especially Legion, that we've seen with just the delays and how things can go. But either way, the fact that, there's continued product planned and we have a pipeline, coming, it is very exciting for the life of the game. So while news and updates out of Argent Saga continue to be few and far between, I did notice that they are having what I'm showing here, which is the online local Saga showcase. So for lack of a better term, it looks that this is just going to be a online virtual run local, they're calling it, but it looks like more of like regional level type prizes. So you can see down there in the prizes that not only is there the entry sticker, but you have full metal cards that you could potentially be getting, which is pretty cool stuff. How they're going to be doing this is it looks like they say various online platforms, so Untapped, Tabletop Simulator, and they say or other various online platforms. I assume that might also mean like Skyping your opponent and playing with them. Functionally, you got to cut your teeth somehow. You got to learn how to do this somehow. I think this is going to be a very rocky thing for them potentially because, what if I'm paired up with someone who doesn't have TTS, or I don't have, I have to get Untap and now I don't know how to use it, so I'm at an inherent disadvantage just outside of the gameplay. So I think this might be a very interesting thing to hear how it goes and see how it goes. But hey, at least it's progress moving forward, and if this is something that interests you, please go check it out on their website. For Destiny this week, there wasn't much from a gameplay standpoint or an update standpoint. However, since the May Worlds was canceled way back late March, early April, many people have been asking, every now it seems it comes back up every 2 to 3 weeks of, hey, has there been any news? Are there any refunds? What's the plan? And while nobody, of course, knows what's going on because there's been no official communication from FFG, we did see this note, which I wanted to, make sure everybody was aware of. This was up on the Facebook page. So Brown Piana put up in part of another chain asking about it. If you'd like a refund, you can likely get one. I requested, meaning him, I requested one via email June 1st and received it back on my credit card June 14th. So I wanted to make sure everybody understands that, at least according to this gentleman, he emailed Fantasy Flight, requested a refund, and was given one, right? So if that's what you want, is to get a refund on that, then this is a potential path, right? I'm not guaranteeing this is going to happen. It worked for him, may not work for you. I don't know, try it out, but if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and check this out. The other thing to think about this is, right, remember we haven't gotten an official announcement yet, right? So the more people that request refunds and pull their money out, the less likely we are to have Worlds. I'm not saying that means you need to sit on $50+. You need to make the decision that's right for you. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that at least someone is saying there's a path forward, so you should probably check it out if that's something you're interested in. So that's it for this week's Commando news. If there's other stuff going on out there, please make sure to leave it in the comments. Again, if you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe, and if nothing else, go Commando.